What is going on, everyone? DSP here, and I am fresh off of playing 3 hours of the Marathon Server Slam event that just launched earlier this morning. It is February 26, 2026, and being that I just had some really interesting experience with Arc Raiders for about a 2-month span as I played it over the winter, I felt like it might make sense for me to make a small mini review of my experiences this afternoon with Marathon to let you know if the game stacks up, how similar it is, how different it is, and if it's worth your time. So, the Server Slam today started at 10 a.m., and it pretty much has gone down without a hitch from what I'm to understand. If you try to play this game currently on PC, you can easily just jump right into it without much delay. The game starts with a very brief introductory raid where basically you drop and you're not really with other humans, but instead you're in a, AI controlled simulated drop where you're learning the basics. You're learning how to run, how to use your weapons, how to do things like that, the basic controls, looting, etc. that you need if you're going to be playing an extraction shooter. Once you complete the tutorial, which is not very long at all, you're then taken into the main hub of the game and you're immediately introduced to factions. What factions are in Marathon are groups that you're going to be doing missions for as you conduct raids. These missions are optional, but as you complete them, you're going to earn experience points and get important loot that's going to allow you to do better in future raids. It's very similar to the Arc Raiders system where you're doing these jobs for these group vendors. Remember, there's like a vendor that'll sell items, a vendor that'll sell guns, but another one that sells like medical items, and each one has their own unique missions for you to perform when you do your raids. It's exactly the same premise here. In fact, it seems that most or all of the story elements of Marathon are tied to these factions. So you'll immediately unlock the first faction, Cyber Acme, and this AI woman will talk to you and explain the story, give you your first mission, which is essentially kill a certain amount of enemies. And then you'll be tasked with creating your first loadout, but you're already given an automatic one for free. So again, very similar to Arc Raiders, it's all about building a loadout before you go on a raid. So you're going to need things such as a healing item, an item to replenish your shield, obviously a weapon with some ammo. As you do more and more raids, you will discover that there are these perks that you can get. For example, when your health is low, basically you won't burn out as quickly, because in this game, there's no stamina meter, there's a burnout meter, because you're a cyborg, get it? So you don't have stamina, but what happens is if you work too hard, you overheat, and now you basically can't run anymore. So it's the same exact premise, just described in a different way. So you can have these perks that you equip that'll aid you in certain ways during your raids. There's new pieces of equipment that are better than others, different guns that have different properties, etc. Starting to sound familiar. It's like Arc Raiders. In fact, to be honest with you, it's kind of hard to think of many differences when it comes to the entire loadout system, leveling system, or even the faction system that's any different from Arc Raiders. It's almost identical. Primarily where the difference comes between Marathon and Arc Raiders is the gameplay. While Arc Raiders is the third-person over-the-shoulder gameplay, well, Marathon is first person because it's made by Bungie, and Bungie primarily makes FPS games like Halo and Destiny. So, I can tell you this. The graphics on PC, pretty darn good. And admittedly, I thought when I saw the previews and everything for Marathon that this yellowish, greenish, neon color scheme might actually be jarring to the eye. It didn't really bother me. I thought that it was fine. The graphics were smooth and ran at a smooth 120 frames per second for me at 4K resolution. The game didn't seem to have any issues with pop-in or stuttering or anything like that on my PC, so I was pleased. The gunplay is pretty much on par with the gunplay you can expect from a company like Bungie, a polished company who has made this style of game over and over. It's exciting. It's responsive. The game does not feel sluggish. The game does not feel like it doesn't control well in any way, shape, or form. And it's pretty basic. You grab your gun, you get ammo, you blast away, you reload. Wash, rinse, and repeat. Yes, there's grenades. Yes, there's other explosives and things that you can use. And yes, there's abilities that your characters have. In fact, I would argue the one major difference of the gameplay between Arc Raiders and Marathon is that each shell or character type that you can pick plays like a hero, almost in a hero shooter. So for example, the starter class has things that are more action and melee based. Like, for example, you could do an air dash, okay? So you can dash away from opponents, or you have the ability to pull out a shield to block shots, or when another meter charges up, because all of these abilities usually have a cooldown, then you can summon missiles that as you're firing at an enemy, you'll start shooting like shoulder turrets at the enemy. But then there's another class that has completely different abilities. When you're getting mobbed, you can just lob this grenade at them and it blows up and pushes them all away from you. Or you could press, the Q button in order to activate super speed and super agility that basically doesn't run out so you can escape enemies. Then there's another class that's stealth, where you can be invisible for a short period of time. So as you can see, it's definitely hero classes, similar to something that you would play in like Team Fortress or maybe even Overwatch. It follows that archetype. That's definitely different from the Arc Raiders formula, where every person has exactly the same character build, and basically it's all based around guns and equipment. Yes, the guns and equipment are most of the game, but definitely selecting the correct shell or character is also going to add to your experience. This Server Slam has 3 maps. I played on 2. The starter map, which has 2 versions. The first version is basically for beginners only, your first run or two, where you're just trying to learn the ropes. And then after that, basically, you would go to the regular version of the map. I think the first version is only PvE. The second version adds in the human element. So, again, just like other extraction shooters like Arc Raiders, you're going to drop into a map, and immediately you're going to try to figure out where you are on the map by looking at it and figure out where you want to loot. You immediately start heading and looting and getting items out of the environment. There are going to be robots that are going to be after you, trying to kill you. A lot of the times these robots are in packs of 2 or 3, or if they hear fire, they're going to come running. So you got to be careful about when you want to engage or if you want to be stealthy. There's also going to be alien bugs called ticks that are coming out of hives in the wall, and you need to shoot the hive, or else they just infinitely spawn these little ticks that jump at you and try to kill you. There are mines that are randomly placed around the maps that are glowing red, and if you don't shoot them before you get close to them, they blow up and do major damage to you. And there's turrets and more. So very Arc Raiders-esque. I would argue more enemies than Arc Raiders, and the enemies so far in the Marathon Server Slam seem to be way more observant, meaning they will find you and hear you and come after you more often than, say, the enemies in Arc Raiders, which is something, because some of the enemies in Arc Raiders actually are pretty tough and observant, but these are like even worse. You have a shield and you have a health bar. Much like Arc Raiders, you need to have items to rejuvenate the shield, to rejuvenate your health. There's separate items in your inventory. Inventory management is a huge part of this, just like Arc Raiders, where as you're looting, you may run out of inventory right away, and now you have to make a tough decision if you want this piece of loot or this piece of loot. Again, if you've played Arc Raiders or if you played other extraction shooters, it's pretty much par for the course, with the one variable being it's a first-person shooter that plays smoothly like other Bungie games, and it has hero classes that you can select to have abilities. So, after having played it for about 3 hours, okay, here's what happened initially. My first match, I said, let's just let the game do all default settings and see what happens. So I said, by default, let's go. And it says, oh, we're going to auto-team you up with people. Oh, okay. I guess we'll see what happens. Who's going to be on my team? Trolls. And I mean that, like, I don't know how they found me. This is the first time I've ever played the game. But all I did is I queued up. I did absolutely nothing crazy. I started my first match, and 2 known trolls were in my party. And I'm like, how did that happen? I have no idea. So apparently there is a way to easily find you if you're a known person or a streamer and join your party. So after that, I said, well, I guess I'm just going to go solo for the rest of the stream. Obviously, I don't want 2 trolls sitting on my party not playing. So that's what I did. And for about 2.5 hours, it was all solo play. And let me tell you this. I do feel, after playing this for about 2.5 hours, I feel like this marathon is meant to be a team game. And the reason I say that, there seem to be a lot more packs of enemies than there are in Arc Raiders. There seem to be a lot more situations where, man, a turret jumps out of nowhere and shoots you from behind. There's snipers that can shoot you from way far away on the map easily. And because of that, it's actually quite tough to stay alive. Like, I had a tough time coming off of about 2 months of playing Arc Raiders on and off. Going into Marathon here, it was much harder. I did survive a few raids and actually got to extract, but I died more often than I survived. And man, it's rough going. You know, when you're fighting a group of enemies and all of a sudden another group comes right around the corner who heard you fighting, like, what am I supposed to do? You got no one to get you off the ground. Also, when you're trying to extract, okay, and you get to one of these points, you activate it much like the elevator in Arc Raiders, and you have to wait a certain amount of seconds until it activates, and then you stand still for 10 seconds and you get warped out. Well, the thing is, unlike Arc Raiders, if you get downed in Marathon, the enemies don't start to ignore you. They still come after you. And what happens is they start attaching to you with these weird, like, cords. And I think they're, like, sucking your life force out of your body or something, which is pretty crazy. In addition, they can continue to shoot you. So there was one situation where I got downed but had already activated the extraction, crawled over to it, and by the skin of my teeth survived and got out. But then a very similar situation later in the day where I got activated the extraction, I got downed, I crawled, and it said I had like 2-3 seconds left to extract, but the enemy shot me again and killed me, and I failed and lost everything. So, seems tougher. See what I'm saying? It seems like you really are supposed to have a party with you to be constantly protecting you, getting your back, and, you know, getting you off the ground. Otherwise, it seems like it's a tough endeavor to play this solo. After having played for 3 hours, I had a fine time. It wasn't like at any point I felt like I was super bored. I had played 2 of the 3 maps available, and I'd leveled all the way up to account level 7 or 8. I also had leveled up the faction to like level 4 or 5, I believe. And I had already unlocked a whole bunch of stuff. I had unlocked a new backpack that had more inventory slots. I had unlocked the ability to heal faster. I had unlocked multiple guns. Found some of the purple loot, which I don't think is the best loot, but like next level loot in the game. So within, 3 hours, I'm doing good stuff. I kind of had an idea of how to play the game because of Arc Raiders, and that's a good thing to have kind of a starting point that's not at the beginning, but kind of in the middle. But ultimately, did anything in Marathon blow me away? No. And to be honest with you, having played Arc Raiders for 2 months, the only difference really between it is first person versus third person, and enemies are tougher, and you're a hero that has hero abilities. It kind of feels like almost the same game. I can see people who maybe like Bungie and like that FPS style of game teaming up with their friends, much like they did in Destiny all these years playing this game. But you have to understand the game's not free to play. It's going to be $40 when it comes out in March, so there is a price tag. I think that Bungie did the right thing not charging a full $70+ for this game. I think they would have had a problem finding a customer base if they had charged full price. I think they well know, being that this is just another extraction shooter, there's already big competition out there like Arc Raiders. Not a lot of people are going to want to drop a giant amount of money on it. However, I don't know if I would ever play it again. Like, it was fine, and it's polished because it's Bungie, but did it blow me away and immediately hook me and make me want to play it again? Not really. And I'm curious because I didn't play Arc Raiders at launch. I waited a little bit, and then all my viewers continuously asked me to play it, and then finally I did, and I liked it, and I played it for a couple of months. This game, I don't know. I feel like unless you have an established group of people you're playing with all the time, I don't think this game would catch on. Like, I don't even think that anyone would ask me to play this again unless I find a group of people who actually want to play with me. And so, I'm not sure. I kind of ended the stream feeling a little uncertain. Like, I wasn't disappointed, which is good. I thought I was going to be. I thought I was going to play it and be like, it's another Concord. It's another High Guard. I don't necessarily feel that way, although one of the things I said with my criticism of High Guard, the game didn't need to exist. It didn't innovate or do anything different. At least in this case, with Marathon, it is taking the extraction shooter formula and adding more refined first-person shooter gameplay mechanics and hero elements to it. But does it really differentiate from Arc Raiders that much? No. It feels like you're playing Arc Raiders most of the time. Most of the gameplay elements are still present there. And so, it may be a hard sell. When you've already got a top-rated, insanely popular extraction shooter that's virally popular and everyone is playing, what's going to be the incentive for you to spend $40 and play the competition? I'm not sure. It's not like Arc Raiders is played out and everyone's bored of it, so I don't know how Bungie are going to get people to play Marathon. There is nothing in that game that is so groundbreakingly addictive or catches you or hooks you that wasn't already present in Arc Raiders. So, it's okay. You might want to give it a look during the server slam this weekend while it's free. Still got a few days to do that. But for me, I went from being cautiously optimistic to basically saying, I'm probably not going to play it. I don't see myself spending money on this and then playing it when I could just go play Arc Raiders, which I already stopped playing because I got bored of that. So why would I want to play more of the same, which is exactly what this feels like. So I'm curious what your thoughts are, but that's my initial impressions after 3 hours of the server slam. How did you feel? Please leave comments on the video and share, and hopefully this gives you an impression on if you're going to like it or not for yourself. Thanks for watching. See you soon.